Jessica's woeful voice echoed throughout the rose garden. Perhaps it was the intuition of a person who lived on this island. After checking the part of the rose garden where Aunt Rosa and Maria had fallen and seeing nothing, Jessica went to look in the arbor next. Normally the arbor was probably a wonderful location to enjoy tea peacefully while appreciating the roses on a good sunny day. Maybe even Uncle Kraus and Aunt Natsuhi had days when they relaxed and enjoyed their tea together here. In that arbor lay their corpses. Alright. So, we've got Ushidamiya Kraus. His corpse was found in the Rose Garden Arbor. The cause of his death is assumed to be strangling with a rope-like object. A stake-shaped weapon was sticking out of his thigh. If only there wasn't that stupid epitaph, I wouldn't have needed a stake. What a pain. Okay, so this time it seems like the, descriptions here are from the perspective of Eva Beatrice. I don't know if they always were. I'm pretty sure it was Maria last time, but, I don't know. And Ushidamiya Natsuhi. Her corpse was found in the Rose Garden Arbor. The cause of her death is assumed to be strangling with a rope-like object. A stake-shaped weapon was sticking out of her calf. Why do I even have to follow the epitaph in the first place? Is this some kind of game? Alright. And let's double-check Shannon's. Her corpse was found in the parlor on the first floor. The weapon used on her is assumed to be a gun or a spear-shaped object. Alright. So we'll have to remember to check it again once they find her again. At least they aren't drenched in the rain like Aunt Rosa and Maria had been. But there was no way I could say that out loud to Jessica at the moment.
どうなんだ、南條先生。考察ですな。ほら、ご覧なさい。首にくっきりと何か細いもので絞めた跡が残っている。だな。まさかこっちが主たる死因のわけはねえだろうよ。
Right there lay two stake-like weapons decorated with an occult design, which had been found driven into Uncle Kraus's thigh area, and near Aunt Natsuhi's calf. When we found these sticking out of my parents' forehead and chest, we decided to preserve the crime scene and leave them for the police. But Jessica didn't care about such matters and immediately pulled the stakes out of her parents' forsaken bodies.
これで頭、胸、腹、膝、足の5つをえぐられた死体が出たわけね。犯人め、殺してやる。第8の番まではこれで終わったわ。続くは第9の番なの。
Let's see, what was the 9th? It should be George, but... Oh, actually, there was no reason to kill George, so... Huh. Interesting. Maybe that means one of the previous Twilights was not actually dead. Hmm.
魔女は蘇り、誰も生き残れはしない。
Maybe Hideyoshi wasn't actually dead, or it could have been Kirie, because she only had a stomach wound. I don't know.
上等だぜ。魔女が蘇るって犯人が堂々と姿を現してくれるってことなんだろう。何が誰も生き残れないだ。
It could also be Kinzo that's not actually dead, and the burnt corpse of his is actually just a smokescreen designed to make us think he's dead, but I don't know.
私が殺してやる。父さんと母さんを殺した犯人をこの手で絶対に殺してやる。
Jessica let her emotions flow out as she howled furiously. To avoid being crushed by grief, she could do nothing but resist it with anger.
まだジョージが見つかってないわ。ジェシカちゃんたちはここにいたければいるといい。私は屋敷へ行くわ。
エヴァさん、バラバラに行動してはいけない。みんなで一緒に行動しなくては危険です。
兄さんたちはもうどうしようもないわ。でもジョージはまだどこかで生きているかもしれない。ここで時間を潰してる暇はないのよ。
As Aunt Ava screamed this, Jessica glared at her. Ava had no more time to bother about the dead. She was more concerned for the safety of her only son, who had yet to be seen.
ジェシカちゃんはここでお父さんとお母さんのそばにいるといい。私はちょっと屋敷に行ってくるわ。バトラ君も南條先生もここにいてくれていい。
No, Ballard's gonna go. After arbitrarily saying this, Aunt Ava rushed out of the arbor. I called out to stop her, but there was no way she would listen. Okay, never mind. However, being alone in this situation meant nothing short of death. If we silently watched her leave, it would be the same as letting her die. Since Aunt Ava was unwilling to stop, we had no choice but to follow her. And while it might be cruel to say so, Uncle Kraus and Aunt Natsuhi were already dead, so there was nothing more we could do for them. In the end, we had no choice but to console Jessica and head for the mansion together. Fortunately, Jessica stood up. Perhaps she had been able to break free from her grief. But what had surfaced in its place was an expression like a demon's.
私がこの手でぶっ殺して必ず敵を取ってやる。行こうぜバトラー。犯人を見つけたら邪魔をするなよ。私が絶対に殺す。
俺も親父たちの仇があるんだ。悪いが早いもん勝ちだぜ。
そうだな。ぶっ殺してやろうぜ。
At my words, Jessica finally seemed to feel like we sympathized with her emotions. She still had that dark expression, but I felt that Jessica had regained some of her sanity. We took off, chasing after Aunt Ava. Through the rose garden, up the stone steps, running at full speed toward the mansion, whose large, intimidating shadow flashed in the lightning. With this, the murders of the epitaph have reached the 8th twilight. And then on the 9th twilight, the witch shall revive. None shall be left alive. I will most likely lose my life. But at the very least, I want to burn the truth into my eyes. That's the only thing motivating me to move right now. We were able to meet up with Aunt Ava, who was having trouble with the lock to the front door. It seemed that all the blood had risen to Aunt Ava's head. That was probably making her fingers clumsy. It looked like she couldn't even handle the simple task of inserting the key into the lock. Then there was a faint sound. The sound of the door unlocking. Just as though it had waited for all the survivors to unite before opening. It felt to me as though the malicious mansion was trying to swallow up all the remaining humans at once. Perhaps the stench that erupted outwards the instant the door opened couldn't be described as just the smell. It wasn't just the charred smell from Grandfather. I think it also may have contained the regrets of the servants and Dad's group. All of the dead. What did it mean as it floated out, overwhelming us? Was it the cry of the dead telling us not to enter? However, Aunt Ava didn't even flinch at something like that. And we, who had to chase after her, were forced to step into the mansion, even after receiving that message.
ジョージ？ジョージ？ 聞こえたら返事をしなさい。ジョージー
Aunt Ava shouted at the top of her lungs. Considering the situation, it's probably far too optimistic to imagine that he's alive. When we started following Aunt Ava's example and calling out George's name in loud voices, Aunt Ava spotted something and stopped walking. She was standing in front of the door to the parlor.
これは南條先生、ちょっと来てもらえるかしら。
何事ですかな。
I'd heard about the eerie magic circles written on doors like the one on the parlor from the adults. Eerie is the only word to describe that thing. Come to think of it, what happened to the other magic circles, the ones that are usually on doors afterwards? Because I'm pretty sure this was the only one. It's like... It really does seem like these crimes were committed by a different person. Or almost like the first crime, the first 6, may have been committed by one person, and then the latter ones were committed by a different person. Eerie is the only word to describe that thing which was scribbled with a deep red paint, reminiscent of blood, so that it slowly dripped down. However, had that supposedly been there since this morning, or that had supposedly been there since this morning. Wondering why Aunt Ava, who had supposedly seen it already, would think it odd now, Jessica and I stared at the door.
確かにこんな数字が書かれていた記憶はありません。
ええ、なかったわ。不気味な魔法文字みたいなのは書かれていたけど、数字は書かれていなかった。
From what the two of them said, only the magic circle had been there this morning. However, right now there were 8 digits written near the upper part of the magic circle. (0715-1129). Okay, let's think about this. There are a lot of things this could be. This could be a phone number, it could be... Well, one obvious thing to think about is that if we flip it upside down, it might be some letters. So no, Bacillo. I don't know. No, there's not really much that I could think of that it would be. But, it could be an address, or maybe longitude and latitude. I don't know. I didn't know what it meant, but I didn't even want to imagine what someone had been thinking when they wrote it. It was drawn with the same paint as the magic circle, but it had clearly been written very recently. The way it had dried and the condition of the color was completely different from the magic circle part.
どうせ魔法的な意味があるんだろうぜ。深く考えたって意味なんかあるわけもないさ。
Jessica intentionally spat those words out in an attempt to push aside the eerie feel it gave off.
魔法陣というものかもしれませんな。ある種の数字遊びに魔除けが宿るという考え方です。どの列を足しても同じ数字になるみたいなものを皆さんも見聞きしたことがおありでしょう。
Yes, but that's clearly not what it is. It's just a bunch of numbers. It's not arranged in a square pattern. Let's just try adding them up. $26. And then you add that, that would be... Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it has a digital root of 1, but I don't think that's really important.
あれは四角形の中に埋めた数字の話じゃなかった。 これは横一列だもの。何の意味があるのかさっぱりだわ。多分ジェシカちゃんの言うのが正解よ。私たちが深く考えたところで意味なんか何もないわ。
No, I think it probably has some meaning. Maybe it's a password to something, maybe a password to a safe, or a... Actually, come to think of it, maybe that's what the atlas is for. Maybe it is longitude and latitude. And the atlas is, why you need that, so that you can check where in the world that longitude and latitude is. And then that would, like, point to the location of the, gold, maybe? Even though she said that, she probably suspected that it actually meant something. Aunt Ava was definitely writing that number down on an old receipt or something with a short ballpoint pen. Unless it had some obvious pattern, it'd probably be tough to memorize a code made up of an 8-digit number.
これ日にちとかな。
A date. Hold on. 7/15. So like July 15th, 11/29. I don't know. Like, the only thing that I could think of that would be a date that would relate to in any way would be, like, Beatrice's birthday or something, but I don't know. I doubt it.
日にち？何の話？
いや偶然だろうけどな。俺7月15日なんだ。
Huh. That is a strange coincidence.
0715が7月15日を示すのかなって思ったら1129もほらその11月29日って読んだらちょうど語呂がいいかなって思ってよ。
Oh wait. Yeah, true. 7/15, November 29. Why would there be two dates, though?
そして11月29日ってなんだよ。
俺が知りてえぜ。まあそのたまたまの偶然だろうけどな。そう考えたらなんだか不気味になっちまったぜ。11月29日が誰かの誕生日だったりとかするのか。うちの家族は違うぜ。親父も桐江さんもエンジェも違う。
That's the first time Battler's actually mentioned Ange.
もちろん俺のお袋もだ。
心当たりがありませんが、金蔵さんの誕生日でもデイジさんの誕生日でもないはずだ。
うちの家族も違うわよ。ローザやマリアちゃんでもないわ。
うちの家族だって違うぜ。カノン君も違うし、シャノンも違う。私、使用人の人の誕生日にはちゃんとプレゼント渡してるからみんな知ってるけど、11月29日に誕生日の人間なんて知らないぜ。
Once we started imagining that the 8 digits weren't meaningless, but actually two dates written together, it really started to look that way. However, its true meaning may be something completely different, or there may be no meaning at all. Anyway, since we don't have any real clues, it's probably pointless to stand around here worrying about it. I think after this episode, I'm going to take those numbers and try inputting them into like Google Maps and seeing if they actually produce a longitude and latitude that goes anywhere. Just because I'm curious. The inside of the parlor's much more important. This morning, behind each of the doors with a magic circle drawn on them, had been the body of a victim. So if something new has been added to this parlor, or to this door, does that mean that something new has been added inside the parlor? When Aunt Ava tried to open it, she felt the resistance of the lock. She immediately took out a master key and put it in the keyhole. As soon as she opened the door, Aunt Ava let out a high-pitched scream and ran inside. That alone was enough to tell us what had happened inside that room. Dr. Nanjo and I looked at each other, and I shook my head slightly as we entered the parlor.
ジョージしっかりして南條先生早く
Georgianiki lay there crumpled alongside Shannon-chan's corpse. His chest was stained bright red, and judging by his still-opened eyes, I'd hate to say it to Aunt Ava, but I couldn't pick up any signs of life. Alright. So, we've got George here. His corpse was found in the mansion's parlor. The weapon used on him is assumed to be a gun or spear-shaped object. In exchange for his soul, the witch gave him 8 numbers. Or the witch gave 8 numbers. 0715-1129. If you say it, a small golden land will be opened. And then, did Shannon's change at all? No, it didn't. Interesting that he was also killed with a gun or a spear-shaped object, though. Like, you'd think that Nanjo would be able to tell if it's a gun. Like, you could probably just dig around a bit, see if there's a bullet. But, probably he doesn't want to disturb the body for the actual autopsy, and that's why he's not doing it. Or at least that's his rationale. After moving to take George's pulse, Dr. Nanjo shook his head, wordlessly reporting that George was dead. Brushing him aside, Aunt Ava once again crouched beside Georgianiki and started crying at the top of her lungs. With Aniki's death, one thing is certain. The murders hadn't ended on the 8th twilight. The epitaph was being carried out in its complete form, including the 9th twilight, and none shall be left alive. I was really starting to lose track of things. For some reason, Aunt Ava's half-crazed cries actually made me cool down. Crestfallen and exhausted, I flopped onto the sofa and plunked my feet on top of the table. Maybe all these murders numbed my heart. Instead of just being frightened, I felt completely confused. Dad and Kirie-san are dead, and people have been killed off one by one, starting with the servants. And there's been a hell of a lot of them by now. I don't know when the first murder happened, but they might have been killed at a rate of about 1 person per hour by now. We believe that the boat will come for us around 9 tomorrow. There's still a full 12 hours until then. How many more sacrifices to the witch will there have to be for us to survive? With the 4 of us, if one goes each hour, we won't last any longer than 4 hours. We don't even know if we'll last until midnight tonight. Yesterday, after lunch, we came into this parlor. Just as they started talking about serving some tea Aunt Rosa had bought, we kids decided to take a walk. Maria was jumping around, wasn't she? Didn't Shannon-chan bring us some cookies? She said Kumasawa-san had baked them or something. Would have been hilarious if she'd baked some mackerel into them, wouldn't it? That's right. I'll never hear Kumasawa-bachan's mackerel jokes again, will I? Alright, if I only remember stuff about Kumasawa-bachan, that wouldn't be fair to everyone else. Why did Dad and Kirie-san even go outside? It's not like going without food for a day would kill us. So why did gluttony get a hold of them and make them go out for food? I'll bet that fearless dad of mine just started complaining about being hungry. Kirie-san, you're supposed to be the brakes for my reckless dad. Why didn't you stop him? And what about your daughter, Ange? She's still just 6 years old. Okay, that's an interesting detail that we should take note of. Don't tell me you plan to leave her in my care. After all, it's doubtful now whether even I'll be able to leave this island alive. So if she's 6, that means that... Actually, it doesn't say when. Oh, there we go. After 6 years. So if she was born around the time that Battler left, around the time that Rudolph married Kyrie, then it's possible that she is actually Rudolph's daughter. Although, I don't think there's any point in thinking about this right now. It's been kind of noisy for a while. By the time I looked up to see what it was, Jessica and Aunt Ava had suddenly started fighting each other. No, maybe I should say that Jessica was grabbing at Aunt Eva.
エヴァおばさんが父さんたちを殺したんだ。他に説明がつかない。
何をバカなことを。あんたのお父さんたちなんか知るわけないでしょ。
ゲストハウスの1階にいたのは誰だよ。エヴァおばさんだ。1階のロビーには父さんと母さんと、そしてエヴァおばさんがいた。生き残ったのは誰だ。エヴァおばさんだけだ。どうして。あんたが父さんと母さんを殺して外へ運び出して白々しく鍵を閉めて魔女の仕業なんかを装いやがったんだ。
じゃあジョージは1階には降りてきてないのよ。じゃあ2階でいなくなったっていうの。2階には誰がいたのよ。あなたたちがいた。あなたは知ってたんでしょ。
I guess one way to think about it is that George went downstairs, and then he and Ava teamed up to take out Kraus and Asahi. And then Ava killed George because he was a witness. He knew about her crimes. And that's the same reason she killed Hideyoshi, because he was an accomplice. And she just didn't... her greed just, like, didn't want to let her get caught. Something like that, maybe?
ジョージがこっそりゲストハウスを抜け出すの。それを自分は何も知らないような顔を抜け抜けと。あんたがジョージを止めててくれれば、ジョージ。
やめなさいというのに、ジェシカさんはずっといとこ部屋にいました。そしてエヴァさんもずっと1階のロビーにいました。そして2人とも何も悪くない。ただ家族を失って悲しいだけなんです。犯人なんか誰もいない。どこにもいない。ただただ魔女のせいなだけなんです。
This almost seems like maybe Nanjo is the one responsible and he's just feeling a little guilty about it and doesn't want to deal with all this, like, infighting. He just wants it to be the witch's fault. He doesn't want to, like, necessarily pin it on someone else. Because even if he did murder them to get the gold, like, he doesn't seem like a horrible person, right? So he would probably still have a conscience. He would probably feel guilty about it if he did murder them, so at least that's my read on him so far.
だからお二人で憎み合うのはやめなさい。
The witch's fault, huh? I wonder if that's a good way to cool down the situation right now. Yeah. I finally understand why 3 people evaporated from the guest house when all the doors and windows were locked from the inside. This is what they were after. Making us think the culprit was inside and sparking this ugly mutual hatred. Has to be the culprit's, the witch's goal. But if that's the case, how did the culprit lock it from the outside? When Dad's group was attacked, their master key was definitely stolen, but the doors and windows to the guest house were built so that you couldn't lock them from the outside, no matter how hard you tried. So that master key should have had nothing to do with the guest house closed room. Jessica and Aunt Ava were turning their sadness at losing their blood relatives into anger at the person in front of them. Dr. Nanjo was trying to step between them. And I sat in the sofa, staring up at the ceiling, thinking about things that didn't even matter anymore with a worn-out expression. I just couldn't believe that this was the same parlor that had been so warm and pleasant midday yesterday, for just a short time before the typhoon hit. Wait. Did Ava just shoot Jessica? The sudden sound of a gunshot shook me out of my half-asleep trance. Smoke was rising out of the barrel of the gun Aunt Ava held. Jessica had fallen to the floor and was covering both her eyes. Aunt Ava and Dr. Nanjo were looking down at her in shock.
大丈夫ですかジェシカさんジェシカさん
私のせいじゃないわよ。あんたがよせっていうのに突っかかってくるから。
おいおい、どうしたってんだ。何事なんだ。
So did Jessica grab at Aunt Ava, which turned into a scuffle? Did they start fighting over Aunt Ava's gun? Did some kind of impact cause the trigger to be pulled? I didn't know if the bullet had grazed her or if she'd been burned by the discharge, but either way, Jessica was covering both of her eyes, screaming it hurts, and rolling around on the floor.
大丈夫落ち着いて大した怪我ではありませんぞ気をしっかり
Dr. Nanjo let Jessica borrow his shoulder, saying that he would tend to her in the servant room. The servant room in the mansion had a bed and a first aid kit and was able to function as an infirmary.
父さんと母さんの仇殺してやる殺してやる私じゃないわよ私じゃない
ジェシカさん傷に触りますからそれ以上騒がないでさあ使用人室に行きましょう
Jessica continued to curse Aunt Ava as her parents' murderer. It seemed that Aunt Ava couldn't conceal her trembling at the fact that she had pulled the trigger, even if it had been an accident.
私のせいじゃないわよあの子が掴みかかってきたからこんなことに
Maybe after all that killing that she's done, she's gotten a little bit numb to it, and this is her thinking, like, maybe it's all, like, collapsing down on her and that she screwed up. But, I don't know.
私は殺してなんかないわよそれよりジョージは誰が殺したのそうよジョージは誰が殺したのよジョージジョージ私は悪くない私は悪く
待てよエヴァおばさん一人になるな
I didn't know if it was because Aunt Ava couldn't bear her mistake, or if she'd given up control of her body to anger at the person who had killed her only son, or if it was both of those all mixed together. At any rate, she ran out into the corridor, yelling, fearful and screaming. I was also worried about Jessica's condition, but right then I couldn't leave Aunt Ava alone. Why would she go off on her own in this mansion of all places? Is she suicidal? Dr. Nanjo took Jessica toward the servant room. I chased after Aunt Ava, dashing into the depths of the mansion. After sitting Jessica on the servant room bed, Nanjo told her several times not to touch her eyes and examined the affected area. The barrel had probably been near her eyes. There was a possibility that the flames from the discharge had injured her corneas. There was no threat to her life, but it would probably be necessary to take her to a doctor as soon as possible. Nanjo applied emergency first aid, covering the affected area with gauze and wrapping it with a bandage. As a result, Jessica completely lost her field of vision.
いいですかな傷が痛んだりうずいたりするでしょうが絶対に書いたり揉んだりしてはなりませんぞ明日になったらすぐに眼科の先生のところへ行きましょう
あいつね本当は私を殺すつもりだったんだほんのちょっと角度が悪かったら今頃殺されてた絶対にあいつを警察へ突き出してやる
エヴァさんはそんなことはしませんぞあれは事故です
事故なもん。あいつが父さんと母さんを殺したんだ。この島には19人目も魔女もいるわけがない。あいつが全ての犯人なんだ。ゲストハウスの1階にはあいつだけがいた。父さんと母さんを殺し、それを見てしまったジョージ兄さんも口封じに殺したに違いない。じいさまや使用人の人たちだってそうさ。きっとあいつは夕べの親族会議の途中でこっそり抜け出し、みんなを殺したに違いない。
もしそうならば警察が調べればすぐに分かることです。警察はすごいですぞ。鑑識の手にかかれば分からぬことなどありません。私たちは誰かを疑ったり恨んだりする必要などないのです。全て警察が解決してくれます。だからジェシカさんは今は体を休め、目をあまり眉間にシワを寄せては目にはもちろん美容にもよくありませんぞ。
When Jessica's abuse of Ava had reached a crescendo, she actually had started glaring instinctively, and the pressure on her eyes had hurt her. Jessica herself realized that the more she talked, the more the wound would hurt. And regardless of whether she'd overcome her suspicions of Ava, she regained her composure for the time being. I have to wonder if maybe Jessica didn't really need to be blindfolded here. Maybe Nanjo is lying a bit, and maybe he just wanted to cover up her eyes as a way of being able to do stuff in front of her that he doesn't want her to see. Like maybe whatever crimes he may have done, like doing things to finish them off, or I don't know, anything like that. She'd heard that Kanon had been killed in the chapel. Jessica still hadn't seen his face after he had died. Jessica was now less fearful about the fact that she was blinded, and more frightened that the police would carry Kanon's body away while she still couldn't see, and that she would have to say her final farewell without being able to look at his face. Her anger at the culprit and her sadness at the death of the person she'd liked. Those mixed emotions started her crying. But right now, tears were actually painful for her, so she wasn't even permitted to leisurely remember his face in bygone days. Jessica could do nothing but sit on the bed and let her head droop, withstanding the pain.
さて、今度はエヴァさんの方が心配です。気に病まれていなければいいのですが。
Realizing that Jessica had calmed down for the time being and letting out a sigh, he stuck his head out into the hallway to look for any sign of the others coming back. Then, their eyes met. Nanjo, unable to understand who this person was bewildered for an instant.
視力を失った人間って反魔法力も対魔法抵抗力もゼロになるんですって。つまり今のあんたはアイソレーテッドポーン。意味がわかるかしら。
なんですと。
Nanjo had no way of understanding who the person in front of him was, much less what she had just said.
南條先生、どうしたんです？
Unable to see, Jessica had to rely on voices alone to make out the situation. But since she heard Nanjo say something in an uneasy tone, she tightened up, thinking that something bad might have happened.
やめてくれ。殺さないでくれ。わしには病弱の孫がおる。ここでは死ねんのだ。頼む、見逃してくれ。
南條先生、南條先生。
Jessica couldn't do anything except call out from the bed. Judging by the tone of his voice, Nanjo was in the corridor, confronting someone, And he was scared. His life must have been threatened just a second ago.
よし、やめろ。
第9の晩に魔女は蘇り、誰も生き残れはしない。
The witch pointed the end of her gold staff at Nanjo. Even though he didn't know what she was planning to do, Nanjo assumed that she must be trying to take his life.
そこに誰がいるんだよ。返事をしろよ。
やめてくれ。
We have to consider the possibility that this might be an act meant to fool Jessica after intentionally blinding her. But, I don't know. A sharp sound echoed. Well, that definitely sounded like a gunshot. Just as sharply, the tip of the golden staff tapered and stretched, slicing into Nanjo's forehead. Jessica, who could only try to grasp what was happening with her ears, had no clue what was going on. But even so, she was able to realize that with that sound, Nanjo had died. And his corpse was found in the hallway in front of the mansion's servant room. The weapon used on him is assumed to be a gun or a spear-shaped object. It's definitely a gun at this point, we can be sure of that. Just a little longer, and he'd probably have managed to return alive. However, in the very end, the witch did not permit that. And she could tell that the person was now in the corridor, right in front of the servant room. Furthermore, since she couldn't see, she wouldn't be able to run away, much less resist. Knowing that she was a mouse in a trap in a life-or-death situation, Jessica shuddered.
ああ、ジェシカ。かわいそうにね。目を怪我しちゃったのね。なら、あなたは逃げることもできないわね。今から南條の死体でたっぷり遊ぶわ。それに飽きたら、次はあなたを殺してたっぷり遊んであげる。
You know, I wonder maybe Jessica will actually survive, and she'll be a witness to what happened to Nanjo, and that's why she's blinded. Like, story-wise.
いいえ、せっかく目が見えないんだもの。殺してからだけじゃない。殺す前にもたっぷり遊んであげるわね。そこでしばらく震えながら待ってなさいね。南條の死体で私がどんな風に遊ぶのかをたっぷり想像しながら。
Jessica was struck with fear and let out a frail scream. She wanted to scream in a much louder voice, trying to get someone to help her, but she couldn't. When faced with true fear, it clogs up a person's throat. Right then, Jessica could barely even breathe. She searched around with her hands, trying to find some way to escape. But even though she should have known this room well, just being unable to see made it like a closed room of darkness. She ran into a shelf or something, and things like candy jars and bottles fell down, hitting her on the head. As she was now, it would have been tough for her to even guard her head to block it. She was painfully aware of how powerless humans become just by losing their sense of sight. Of course, she had no time to be impressed by this fact. She crawled around at random, trying to escape from that place. But she kept bumping into objects, and things that she didn't understand, getting hit by various falling objects. It felt like the entire room was alive, bullying her and refusing to let her escape. Then a footstep could be heard from that presence in the hallway, and then a voice. She'd probably poked her head into the room since Jessica had been so loud.
賑やかね。レディーならおとなしくベッドに座って待っていなさい。令状にふさわしい素敵な真っ赤な死に装束を与えてやるんだから。あなたを見つけた人が失神してしまいそうになるくらいのね。
Until just a second ago, she had sworn that she'd kill the culprit if she found them. However, she was now very powerless. She couldn't do anything except let out a scream, crawling around on the floor and bumping her head into the bed and the legs of the desks.
助けて、誰か助けて、父さん、母さん、バトラー、誰か来てよ、助けてよ、カノン。
In the corridor, as the witch thought of how to toy with Nanjo's life, a single gold butterfly secretly watched that scene from the corner of the hallway. It was Beato, who had barely escaped with her life once before. The gold butterfly softly returned to human form. It was faint and transparent like a lace curtain. By now, her power was so weak that even maintaining this form was difficult for her. Right next to her, Runaway also appeared.
ジェシカも生き残れはしないでしょう。もとより誰も生き残れはしませんが。
あやつ、カノンに恋心を寄せて、わらわはそれをもてあそんだこともある。しかしそれは魔女として恥ずべきことであった。
愛とは異なる元素。恋心はそれ以上に純粋で尊いものでございます。なぜかお嬢様はとてもそれを嫌われますが。
お師匠様は言った。魔法とは人を幸せにするためにあると。わらわもかつてはそれを知っていたはずだった。そしてそれを忘れた時からだからわらわはバトラの対戦相手の資格を失っていたのだ。
まさかお嬢様、ジェシカを助けるおつもりですか。危険です。
分かってる。どうせ助けて黄金鏡の扉が開けば魔女の宴の慰み者よ。しかしそれでもあやつの殺し方に比べれば数段慈悲深い。魔女の宴は恐るべき方法にて命を奪う。二度は奪わぬ。生死をもてあそばれ。しかしあやつは違う。何度でも殺す。面白半分で殺す。そこにはわずかほどの慈悲もない。わらわはせめてジェシカをそのような残酷な運命から救いたいと思う。
確かにそれを行うことは良き魔女として称えられることでしょう。しかし新しきベアトリーチェ様はすでにお嬢様のことを敵視なされています。もう一度姿を見られることがあったなら今度は逃れる術はありません。
ジョージをシャノンに合わせた時、わらわはようやく魔女、そして魔法とはどういうものなのかを理解したのだ。わらわは魔女だ。魔女であらねばならぬ。そしてバトラに対戦相手だと認める。今度こそバトラに魔女だとそのための長く険しいかもしれない。しかし今ここでその一歩を踏み出さねばわらわは魔女を名乗れぬのだ。
お気持ちはわかりますが、どうやってお救いになるつもりです。今のお嬢様の身に使える魔法は多くありません。シャノンを蘇らせる時ですらジョージの力を借りたではありませんか。
だからこそジェシカだけは救えるかもしれぬのだ。
So she's gonna borrow Jessica's power.
今あやつは カノンに助けを求めている。その思いの力を借りれば、わらわの魔力にてもう一度冥府の扉を叩けるかもしれない。
叩けはするでしょう。しかし魔力を使い切ります。新しきベアトリーチェ様にもし見つかったら本当に逃れる術はありませんよ。私はすでにお嬢様の執事ではありません。いざという時お助けすることはできませんのでご了承。
承知しておるわ。わらわはこれまで数えることもできぬほどの命をもてあそび、なればその罪、同じ数だけの命を救うことでしか、あがきもとよりわらわに失うものなどないわ。名も魔力も引き継ぎ、今や魔女とも認められぬただの黄金の蝶よ。
バトラ様はどうなさるのですか？ゲームの途中です。彼はお嬢様がお戻りになるまで待つとおっしゃいました。ここで果てるようなことがあっても良いのですか？お嬢様にはバトラ様の向かいの席に戻る義務があるのです。
だからこそだ。わらわにしか救えぬ命があるならば、わらわはそれを救う。そして魔女と認められるぞ。わらわは魔女にならねばならぬのだ。これが試練であるならば、これまでの悪行に見合わぬ幼稚なものよ。さあ、姿を消せ。ロン、かつて黄金の魔女と呼ばれた一匹の蝶の最後となるかもしれぬ魔法を見るがいい。
かしこまりました。黄金の魔女の名に恥じぬ拝見させてもらいます。願わくばそれが最後の魔法とならぬことを。
I mean, there's no way it's gonna be your final spell. Come on. We're only in the third episode here. Unless Ava Beatrice takes over as the new villain, which I doubt.
行け。もしインクが借りるなら、我が愚かなる生涯を記して同じ道を歩もうとする愚か者に手渡す。さらばだ、ロノウェ。
どこにいるの？助けて。
お嬢様、僕はいつだってお嬢様のすぐそばに。
カノン君。
So, either Jessica's gonna die here, or Kanon wasn't actually dead.
カノン君。
It seemed to Jessica as though she'd heard Kanon's voice just then. She looked around with unseeing eyes, but of course she saw nothing. It's also possible that she's just being deluded here, because she is kind of hysterical, and so even if Jessica survives and remembers this, it's possible that this is all just a delusion in her head. Because when you're kind of deprived of one sense, the others will start filling in the blanks, whether that's with reality or fiction. On the contrary, that action caused her head to hit the disc again.
カノン君。助けて。助けて。
はい、お嬢様、僕がお助けします。
This time, she thought she heard his voice clearly. Jessica jumped up in surprise, banging her head against the desk once again.
お嬢様、どうか心を落ち着けてお聞きください。
And if Canon did survive, then that would shatter that entire first locked room.
残念ながら僕は生きてはいません。僕はすでに死んでしまっています。ですがあの魔女はお嬢様の危機を僕に知らせに来ました。そしてわずかの間だけお嬢様に手助けできる時間をくれました。どうか心をもっと落ち着けて、そうすればお嬢様にも僕の姿が見えるようになります。
Jessica obeyed those words. She chased all idle thoughts from her head and relaxed her breathing. Of course, her heart felt like it was going to explode after hearing the voice of the one she'd liked and had thought was dead. She resisted the excitement with all her strength. When she did, she felt as though Kanon-kun really was right in front of her. Even though she shouldn't have been able to see him with her eyes, she was able to sense him clearly.
僕が見えますか、お嬢様。は
あ、見えるぜ。確かにカノン君が見えるよ。
僕は魂だけの存在です。だからお嬢様に触れることはできません。こうして言葉をかけることしかできない。それだけしかできないか弱い存在ですが、それでもお嬢様の力になれるはずです。
言葉だけ。カノン君に触ることはできないの？
僕は今ろうそくの煙よりも儚い存在です。聖者であるお嬢様に触れられればたちまち書き消えてしまうほどに。だからどうか触れようとしないでください。僕もお嬢様に触れたい気持ちを抑えているのですから。それよりお嬢様、よく聞いてください。新しい黄金の魔女は残酷な心の持ち主です。必ずやお嬢様をひどい目に遭わせようとするでしょう。この部屋から逃げ出し隠れ。
どうやって私は目が見えない。
静かに。僕がお嬢様の目になります。僕がかける言葉に従って動いてください。まずそのまま3歩這い出て、それから立ち上がってください。今お嬢様がいるのは机の下です。そのまま立てば頭をぶつけます。
机の下だったのか。分かったよ。立つぜ。
お上手です。次は時計で言う9時の方向を向いてください。はい、お上手です。
なんだか恥ずかしいぜ。
One possibility here that I really don't want to think about is that someone is, like, pretending to be Kanon and taking advantage of her, like, delirious state, and that she's actually just following some random person's instructions, and she might be going straight to her death. But, let's just assume that's not the case for now.
大丈夫ですか？傷が痛みますか？
いや、平気だぜ。次は。
Jessica thought that if this was a dream, she didn't want to wake up, and if she were allowed to, she would have wanted to take off the bandage covering her eyes and see him. However, if she did that, Kanon might vanish like frail candle smoke, just like he himself had said. She was afraid of that, so she satisfied herself with just listening to his words once more, repressing her desire to see him, to hold him. Therefore, what hurt her eyes now were tears of gratitude. Tears of gratitude for the god, or maybe the witch who had given her this miraculous moment.
大丈夫なの？こんなに喋ってあいつに気づかれない？声を聞かれない？
隠密の結界を張っています。大きな音や声を出さなければ誰も気づきません。だから誰も僕の気配には気づけない。
なんだかわからないけど、とにかく静かにしてれば大丈夫ってことなんだな。次はどうするんだ？
そのままゆっくり10歩ほどを歩いてください。ソファーに触ります。それに沿って進んでください。ゆっくりと落ち着いて、僕の言葉を信じて。
目が見えないってのはあんなにも怖いものだったのに。
そう、それがソファーです。左になぞりながらゆっくり進んで、すぐ左にテーブルがあります。すねをぶつけないように気をつけて。
It was a very, very strange and bizarre team effort. Even though she would have been killed in an instant if the terrible witch noticed her, there was no fear in Jessica's heart. She was being protected and guided by Kanon, someone she thought she'd never be reunited with. It would probably be just a momentary miracle. Even so, Jessica was deeply grateful for it. If she hoped for too much, she was sure that he would disappear, so she tried not to ruin this faint miracle. And trying to engrave this moment into her heart for all eternity, she slowly continued to walk, obeying Kanon's voice.
さらに10歩を歩けば、使用人室から出ます。そしたら、9時の方向を向いて、ゆっくりとずっと歩いてください。右の壁に手を置き、それに沿って、ずっと僕が安全な部屋までお連れします。
そこにいたカノン君は帰っちゃうの？
Kanon didn't answer, but his lack of an answer was enough to tell her the truth.
なら、やだ。行きたくないよ。
ここにいれば、魔女に殺されます。
いいよ。殺されれば、カノン君のいる世界へ行けるもん。
お嬢様、どうか聞き分けてください。死者である僕には、人の世は眩しくて辛すぎる。だから長くはとどまれません。だからお嬢様、僕に許された時間で、そしたら、時間が尽きるまで、ずっとお嬢様と一緒にいますから。
それが、カノン君にできる精一杯なの？
はい。その代わり、1秒でも長く、ずっとお嬢様といて。
どんなお話？
どんなお話がいいですか？
カノン君が聞かせてくれるなら、どんな話でもいいよ。
では、勇気のない、臆病な使用人の少年の話を、太陽のように眩しいお嬢様に恋心を抱き、同じ臆病さに負け、ついに生あるうちに自分に素直になれなかった。
なら私もしたいよ。大好きな男の子にね。もっともっと大好きだよって勇気を振り絞れなかった臆病な女の子の話を。そしてその男の子に再会できる奇跡を、その勇気を振り絞る機会をもう一度は。
僕もその話を聞きたいです。だからそのためにも行きましょう。安全な場所まで。
カノン君と一緒ならいつまでだってどこまでだって歩くよ。もう目なんていらない。カノン君が踏み出せと言うなら 崖の先へだって一歩を踏み出すよ。
ありがとう。さあ、お嬢様、参りますよ。最初の10歩。
いや、ジェシカって呼んでくれなきゃ。やだ。
わかりました。では、ジェシカ、最初の10歩を踏み出して。
カノン君。
Very quietly, Jessica and Canon slowly snuck out of the servant room. Just around the corner, the witch could be seen cruelly looking down at Nanjo's corpse, but she didn't even notice their presence. However, Runaway, who stood at the ready by her side, met Canon's eyes. Canon thought, oh no, grimacing and blocking Jessica with his back. However, Runaway did not inform his master. He played dumb, just as though he hadn't spotted Canon in the first place. No, maybe he did appear to chuckle. From a finger on Runaway's hands, which were joined behind his back, a small, single gold butterfly appeared, flying in front of Canon as though guiding him. It went unnoticed by the master he served. Canon was surprised at the magic that butterfly held, because it was far more powerful than the secrecy barrier Canon possessed. He may not have known it, but that power of his had originally been Runaway's. Canon's ability was an imitation of that which Kinzo had made and given to him. As that butterfly of secrecy magic scattered gold scales, it grew smaller bit by bit. It probably wouldn't last long, but without a doubt, even that would buy them enough time to get them far away from the cruel witch.
さあ、お嬢様、その壁に沿い、ずっと歩いていきましょう。ずっと。ずっと。
カノン君と一緒なら、どこまでも、ずっと、ずっと。
Led and protected by the small gold butterfly, the pair, separated by the wall of life and death, slowly walked away toward the end of the corridor. There was no way that the evil witch could have had magic to notice their flight. Until they disappeared at the other end of the corridor, the witch didn't realize that Jessica had vanished. By the time the gold butterfly Runaway had sent evaporated completely, Jessica had reached the parlor. Even though it would have been a quick trip if she'd been able to see as she was now, it had been a very long adventure.
さあ、お嬢様、客間にたどり着きました。これからお嬢様を窓際のカーテンの束のところまでお連れします。その中に隠れればきっと安全です。
カーテンの中か。うまいな。私も昔よくそこに隠れたもんだぜ。
Yeah, I feel like this canon is actually just a figment of her imagination, and that she's just kind of like interpreting her own desire to escape and be like saved or whatever. That's like manifesting as a delusion of canon guiding her, when really we're just gonna find that she on her own initiative went to hide behind the curtains, probably.
ベアトリーチェ様。
Canon called out the witch's name. Jessica looked around in surprise, but she obviously couldn't spot the witch when she couldn't see. Beato had appeared once again with a faint form. Canon squared off against the figure of the evil witch, but Beato's expression was soft, or even pitying.
どういう気まぐれで僕を蘇らせてくれたのか。僕にはあなたの気持ちがわからない。
気まぐれに過ぎぬ。いや、魔女とはこうあるべきなのだ。わらわがそれを気づくのに1000年をかけた。それだけの愚かしい話だ。
誰がいるの？
お嬢様、お静かに。彼女は魔女ベアトリーチェ。僕をお嬢様にもう一度会わせてくれた 恩人です。
魔女ベアトリーチェ。
わらわのことなどどうでもよい。それより早くその女をカーテンの陰に隠すがよい。そなたに残された時間も長くないであろう。ジェシカと最後の語らいに費やすがいい。カーテンの束の中で密会とは、そなたらもなかなか味な真似をする。
ありがとうベアトリーチェ。カノン君に会わせてくれてありがとう。
Jessica didn't know where Beato was, so she said that while facing in the wrong direction. Perhaps because she found that funny, Beato snickered.
あとは愛し合う二人にこの部屋を譲る。邪悪なる魔女に恋話は不要でな。退出させてもらおう。
ベアトリーチェ様、ありがとうございます。
礼などいらぬ。こんなのでは償いきれぬほど悪行を重ねておることは、そなたがよく知っておろうに。
良き魔女には感謝を選別とします。今までがどうであったか、そしてこれからがどうであるかは知らない。しかし今この瞬間、あなたは間違いなく良き魔女だ。
おべっかが過ぎるぞ、カグメが。次に会うときは期待を裏切らぬ悪しき魔女であるかもしれぬぞ。
That's probably gonna happen.
それではさらばだ。
Beato left the parlor and closed the door. And mustering the last of her remaining magical power, she sealed the door. The fact that those two had escaped into here would eventually be noticed, and now that the ninth twilight had been reached, no matter how much they struggled, their inescapable fate had already been decided. However, until that final moment, they should be given the chance to speak with each other of their love. The witch poured out all of her magical power to protect their time together, so that no one would be able to defile their time alone until the last possible moment. At that time, Beato noticed something. Her body had been detected by a magical searching technique. The evil witch's furniture had sniffed this place out.
無粋なるは魔女のゆえんか。若き二人に恋を語らせる気もなしとは。
45データ治療。標的照合。仙台ビアトリーチェ卿と確認。客間防御壁を解析。仮想防御壁72層。構成防壁および魔法反応走行。客間への狙撃は不可能。410へデータリンク。410データ受領。にひ。じゃあ仙台様を先に殺しちゃえばいいだけの話だに。大ベアトリーチェ卿、攻撃許可を。撃ってちょうだい。
You know what? I would not be surprised if Ava comes and just shoots this Beatrice in the face, like, because it was already established earlier that that guns are a witch's weakness, and that could come into play at any moment here. Because I don't expect that Ava Beatrice is going to last, especially not to the end of the Twilight. She's probably gonna hand back the position back to the predecessors, so that would be one way for it to happen.
ああ、急所は外してね。バーバーに聞きたいことがあるの。410射撃。にひ。
The Chester sisters' gold bow released a gold snake. It crawled down the corridor, starting from the front of the servant room, aiming for the parlor as it drew a soft, snake-like curved line trajectory. And pierced Beato's chest. Gold butterflies gathered, and the cruel witch appeared, along with her furniture.
先代様、二度もの妨害、もはや許されませんぞ。
許されようとも思わぬわ。しかしシエスタ姉妹も腕が落ちたものよ。わらわを仕留め損なうとはな。それも二度も。
Ronoi spoke in a manner befitting the witch's butler. As she pushed her pain aside, Beato grinned and spoke back.
申し訳ありません、先代様。急所を外せとのご命令です。ご指示があればすぐにでも貫きますとも。ピアスの穴でもおへその穴でもお好きな穴を。にひ。
The gold snake that had pierced Beatrice grew even longer, drawing a funnel-shaped helix and awaiting its next order. It was prepared to pierce a vital spot as soon as the evil witch told it to.
残忍にかけてはわらわも一歩を取るそなたがどういう風の吹き回しか。新しきベアトリーチェ。
聞きたかったのよ。どういう術で逃れたのか知らないけど、私たちはあんたを仕留めたつもりでいたのよ。そのまま隠れていれば逃れられたもの。どうして危険を冒してまた現れたの？まさか若い二人をかばうためだけに戻ってきたわけ？
さあ
さっきだってそうよ。どうして恋人たちを蘇らせて再会なんて甘い真似を。聞けば聞くほどにあなたは私なんて足元にも及ばない邪悪の権化。そのあなたがどうして急にそんな生ぬるいことを始めたのかって、それを聞きたかったのよ。
残忍ゆえにわらわは気まぐれなのよ。それを問うことに意味などあろうか。
シエスタ姉妹、ヌエ。
When she ordered that, the gold snake that was curled in a helix and suspended in space moved as fast as a real snake going after its prey, and pierced Beato's body multiple times from both sides, its gold tail drawing an X shape. As the cruel witch had ordered, it drew a cross-stitch through Beato's chest. The gold thread made a squeaking sound and tormented Beato. Rather than a gold snake searching for its prey, it waited for orders like a sewing needle ready to sew Beato.
あんたに限って気まぐれなんてあるわけがない。あんたのことを聞いたわ。そして知ったわ。あんたは私ですら足元にも及ばない邪悪の権化よ。私はそんなあなたに実にふさわしい後継者だと思ったの。なのにあなたは邪魔ばかり。ぬるいことばかり言って私を呆れさせる。何があなたを変えたの？1000年間邪悪の限りを尽くしたあなたに、その1000年を翻すような何が起こったのか、それだけを知りたくて生かしたのよ。
知りたくばそなたも1000年を費やすがよいぞ。
ヌエ。
Beato's chest was once again sewn with a gold cross-stitch. It tightened once again, squeezing fresh blood from Beato's chest. The intense pain it caused ran in conflict with its beauty to the eye.
あんたもひょっとすると死ぬと消えちゃって死体が残らないタイプかもしれないわね。だからあなたをゆっくりと殺すわ。でも私の質問に正直に答えられたら楽に殺してあげる。先代様にぴったりの華麗で豪華で優しい死を与えてあげる。水を張りバラで埋めた棺桶に沈めてあげるわ。素敵でしょ。それでも話せないの？あなたの心変わりの理由。
聞かれたことを答えぬもまた邪悪なる魔女の優越よ。
ヌエ2つ。
もちろん答えてくれなくていいの。だってそうやっていじめてるんだもの。無限の魔法は本当に素晴らしいわ。思えばこの世はすべからく有限。人の世に無限などありはしない。それは神が無限であるがゆえに人の世を見下すため全ての無限を取り上げたからよ。なればつまり無限の力とは神の力。遊べば遊ぶほどにさらに楽しい遊び方を見つけられる素敵な力。その力を1000年も思うがままに使い暴れ回ったあなたがなぜ今頃になって心変わりをしたの？まさか私に譲ったから惜しくなってとかじゃないわよね。
惜しいものか。そなたがそうだと信じている無限の魔法など魔法にあらず。真の魔法の力とはそなたなどでは到底至れぬ深淵にあるのだ。
それに気づいたから？それは何？
それに気づけず1000年をさまよえ愚かな魔女よ。
ヌエ、今度は3つ。
Beto's chest had been embroidered with a gold thread. It tightened even more, causing Beto more and more pain.
まあいいわ。死に損ないのババアが何を達観したかなんてもう興味も何もない。もう飽きたからあっさり殺してあげるわ。あんたを殺せば客間の結界は解ける。そしたらカノンとジェシカもたっぷりいじめ殺してあげるわね。愛し合う二人を同時におもちゃにできるなんてこれは楽しそうよね。殺せ。
Without missing by a millimeter, the gold sewing thread shot through Beto's heart. That intense pain was worse than all of the pain before that, put together. Beto finally remembered the actual feeling of dying, which she had forgotten over the course of 1,000 years. But she couldn't die. She must not die. If she died, it would mean handing over the two in the parlor to the cruel witch. So she definitely couldn't die. She resolutely refused to die.
新しきベアトリーチェ頼みがある。客間の2人の仰せは短い時間のものだ。砂時計に測れる程度の時間でカノンは冥府へ消えるだろう。その程度の時間どうか許してはくれぬか。
いやよ、愛し合う二人を引き裂くのって楽しいんでしょ。あなたが言ったわ。だから私やってみたいの。
ならばその快楽貴様に味わわせるわけにはいかぬ。楽しいぞ、恋人たちを引き裂くのは。
そうよね、きっと楽しいわよね。だから邪魔しないで。もっと縫え縫え縫え縫え。にひ410了解。
The merciless gold sewing needle sewed the gold thread through Beato's heart over and over again. However, no matter how much it tightened, that heart did not stop.
まだまだこの程度では足りぬな。この程度では死んではやれぬ。
何をしてるの？このババアのおしゃべりを止めなさい。早く殺すのよ。殺してます。何度も心臓を縫い止めてるのに、こいつの心臓止まらないんです。あんた不死身なの？
まさかそなたに無限は譲り渡した。鼓動を刻める数など残すところもたかが知れている。だがそれを一つ余計に刻むことでこの部屋の二人にわずかでも長い時間を与えられるなら、その程度の抵抗を永遠に続けようぞ。
縫え！こいつの心臓が動きを止めるまで縫い続けよう。なんでこいつありえない。心臓をなんで止まらないの？ならいいや。心臓を内側から爆破してやるに。かわいそうに逆らわなければ綺麗に死ねたのに。
As they said that, even though the gold needle and thread made round trips over and over again, Beato still didn't die. The cruel witch eventually grew pale at how bizarre that was.
お前一体何者なの？
そなたにはわからぬだろう。わらわわからぬか。だがな、どうや本当の魔法というものだ。わらわは今なった。本当の魔女なった。
心臓内部で爆心固定。心肝準備よし。爆破！
Alright. It's kind of in the middle of a scene, but we're actually going to end it right there because I'm out of time, and I just have to stop, so. Until next time, take care, and I will see you then. We will pick this right back.